Alrighty, welcome to episode 310 of Backpacking America. Want to get right into it today. The illegal immigration debate is raging as LA spontaneously combusts, and people are saying that the deportation of illegal immigrants is illegal by ICE. ICE has every right to deport these people, specifically because, and there's two reasons expedited removal can occur in the United States for an illegal alien. And those are for people that have entered the United States by sea or by land without being admitted or paroled into the United States and have been in the country less than 2 years. It's also for people apprehended within 100 miles of the U.S. borders within 14 days of entering the country and who have not been admitted or paroled. So a lot of illegal immigrants qualify for this, especially in part 3, where it says, and who have not been admitted or paroled. So if you're in this country illegally and you have not been formally admitted and you have not been formally paroled, you are legally allowed to get kicked out of here. Now, there's a lot of other, circumstances where someone has to be provided due process, but for a majority of illegal aliens, they're not entitled to due process because of these specific circumstances. These are not American citizens being detained. And yes, everyone in this country has a right to due process and fair and equal treatment under the law, unless you violated the law this flagrantly. And, the liberals will say, oh, well, then just give them a trial. No, you don't understand. A lot of these people don't get a trial because of these preconditions. And ICE knows this. People know this. There's proof. Literally, if you're in this country and you don't have a driver's license, you don't have a social security number, you don't have any form of identification that ties you back as a natural citizen of this country or someone allowed to be in here on a visa or an asylum claim, you're gone. You're gone. You are legally allowed to be deported. You don't need a trial to be deported. Then on top of that, right, we have people that, and this is the irony, all the people that are saying that what I just said is bullshit, or people calling me a fascist or whatever, or a traitor to their country, they're the same people waving foreign flags, burning American flags, and then demanding to stay in the United States, whose flag they just burned while waving a foreign flag of a country they're fleeing. I can't tell you, every flag but an American flag was flown at those protests. And it's all by people, and most of the people there are either leftists or people that think they're doing the right thing, but they're really just not, or it's people that are here illegally protesting, or their parents of illegal, or their children of illegal immigrants, protesting. If you feel to the point that you have to attack law enforcement, that you have to burn the American flag and fly a flag of a country that you fled, yet you somehow desperately still love, if you're at that point, just go back to the country that you represent. I mean, it's really not that hard. Just go back. I don't really understand what the issue is. If you feel that strongly about it. I mean, if it's one thing, if you were waving American flags and you saw this as a fundamental injustice to the justice system and you saw it as a threat to democracy, then, then I would understand it a little bit more. But it's to the point where you're actively, it seems like you're acting on behalf of a foreign country, which makes sense because Mexico and the Mexican government has been stating that, and a lot of these activists have been saying that, oh, well, California is really Mexican and the Americans are imperialists. And I have to give these people a quick history lesson. Mexico gave up California, New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, and I believe it was Colorado as well, to the United States after the Mexican-American War ended in 1848. We went to we beat and defeated Mexico in war. We defeated them in war, and the terms of the peace treaty were, hey, here you go. You're going to take this part of the Americas. What James K. Polk, the president at the time, wanted was most of Mexico to be taken, and they would get a small part from Mexico City down to the Yucatan Peninsula. Other than that, the northern territories of Mexico that currently border the United States would all be American territories. And, this is, things that I've seen on the internet and on the streets where people are saying like, oh, that's Mexican land and so on and so forth. Then we also have the Mexican government proper, their president, Claudia Sheinbaum, demanding that her countrymen in the United States rise up and protest our government, especially because the government is now looking to put a 3.5% tax on money being sent back to Mexico from people that are working here illegally in the country. So to me, this seems like this is an act of war. There's been a lot of Mexican flags flown at these protests. The Mexican government is demanding people in this country, illegally or legally, to stand up against our government in defense of Mexico and Mexican interests, and then putting out an economic demand as well in the same breath, while encouraging these violent protests. So to me, that's an act of war. That's to me an act of war. And I saw this, people saying this online, and I'm like, let me think about it. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, if America said to Russian people, say we said to all, I don't think there's a lot of American people in Russia, but say there was a sizable American diaspora in Russia, and we said to them, hey, Americans, rise up to defend your freedom and your interests in southern Russia, and no more remittance tax on wages you send back to America. Oh, and we know you're here illegally, but you have to now fight for us because you're still Americans at heart. There would be an international. We'd be at war with Russia if it was like flipped like that. We'd be at war with Russia. So I personally think we need to go to war with Mexico and invade Mexico. And you know what? If they want to come in this country so badly, they're willing to hop a fence. Why don't we just bring America to them? Why don't we just invade Mexico, kill all the cartels, and then make it a territory? Seriously, we're talking about invading Canada. I mean, Mexico's easier. No one gives a shit about them. And they suck. They're actively trying to overthrow our country, clearly. I mean, they're literally telling these protesters to fight on behalf of the Mexican government's national economic interests. What has Canada ever done to us? I mean, they're like, if we're thinking about it as like a roommate scenario, right? And Canada's just like the lazy roommate that just can't hold down a job and kind of just is like, hey, you got $20? Mexico, on the other hand, is constantly calling the landlord on you because you left your plates in the sink one night after a long day at work. And Mexico is the unemployed roommate that is constantly trying to get you in trouble so that way you get kicked out, or there's like a decrease in rent if they side with the landlord to, keep you in check, so to speak. Or they'll try to like lock you out of the house so they could have time alone because they just don't like your presence because the vibes are off. That's the type of roommate Mexico is. I think we should go to war with Mexico. That's just my personal opinion, especially because the president of Mexico is actively trying to be hardline with our government when we're trying to enforce our national self-interest, because Mexico was frequently allowing, before the Trump administration, millions of people to pour across our borders, bring in their drugs, allowing cartels to set up shop here, not stopping them. Okay. And then she throws a fit when Trump says, we're going to coordinate military strikes on the cartels and we want your help to do it because this needs to stop. She took that as an act of aggression. Well, you have a terrorism problem in most states in your country. That would be like if, say there was like, I don't know, like every weekend there was an Islamic terror attack in 35 out of 50 states in the United States. I would think Canada and Mexico would say, hey, you have a security problem. Like, you need to invite us to help you clean it up because it's spilling over into our borders. That's just, it makes sense. It's a huge problem. Same thing with Mexico. Mexico, 75% of the country is under some form of cartel control. Some of it's just outright cartel control. And it's only de facto control. I mean, de jure controlled by the Mexican government, not de facto. So it's very obvious to me that this country of Mexico is barely even functioning. We need to go in there and restore order. That's the only way. And then once you take over Mexico, then you could really set up shop and put up a border against Guatemala. And then you have like that whole country secured. Make it a territory. Go state by state in securing the country. Don't let anyone from the territory into the United States until it's completely secured. I think that's our best bet in stopping all of this, one, illegal immigrant insanity, and two, mostly because this country is being attacked internally and subversively by the Mexican government. And this is the age of asymmetrical warfare, right? Asymmetrical warfare, for those of you that don't know, is using non-governmental forces to wage warfare on behalf of governmental forces. So you have your standing military, and then you have, rebel groups and unaligned citizens, and you do things either psychologically, economically, or physically to get these non-state actors to act in the state's interest in order to escalate a conflict, de-escalate a conflict, put on economic pressure or political pressure. In this sense, the Mexican government is waging asymmetrical warfare by taking advantage of a hardline anti-illegal immigration administration and saying, okay, well, not every illegal immigrant is Mexican. A lot of them are from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Venezuela, Colombia, but they can all unify around the Mexicans because the Mexicans are taking a hardline stance against Trump. And they're saying, no, these people have a right to stay here and a right to, keep all their money in their pocket. That's what the Mexicans are saying. So, of course, if you're like a Colombian or a Venezuelan, you're going to unite with the Mexicans in the sense that, hey, they're not, the Mexicans are fighting for us to, not pay a 3.5% tax on anything we send overseas, and they want to keep us in the country. So naturally, those people that aren't really aligned, they have no allegiance to Mexico, their home is in Venezuela, but they're going to say, you know what, economically and politically, they're on our side, so we're going to fight with them. That's how that's how asymmetrical warfare works. Even if that person is not necessarily affiliated with the state government behind it, they can get on board with the non-state action. So that's asymmetrical warfare that we're seeing right now. We wage it against Russia and China. They wage it against us. That's how this works. That's how the Cold War was primarily fought, through asymmetrical warfare. Now, the proper way of it is guerrilla warfare, where what we saw in Vietnam, what we saw in Afghanistan when the Soviets occupied it and when we occupied it. We saw it in Algeria against the French. We saw it in the Warsaw uprising, not the Hungarian uprising. That's asymmetrical warfare. It's regular people that don't look like a threat that become a threat selectively and then disappear, and you don't know who the threat is. That's asymmetrical warfare textbook. And the way it is today is, yes, there can be armed conflict. We've done it in Syria with the Kurds, but there's also other layers to it too, where it's digital activism, where it's economic activism, where it's political activism and physical violence, like we're seeing in the streets of LA. It may not be with guns, but it's certainly with firecrackers, bombs, smoke grenades, and people and rocks. So this all counts is asymmetrical warfare. Even on Twitter, we're seeing a lot of people that created Twitter accounts in the lead up to the 2024 election in November start spewing all this liberal garbage on Twitter. Whereas beforehand, it was literally only right-wing people, which I have no problem with leftists being on online spaces or right-wingers. I don't care. But what it is astroturfing. If it was organic, I wouldn't care, but it's obviously planned. You can see when these accounts were created, their post history, which is minuscule. They have barely any followers and never a picture of themselves. So someone is creating all these accounts to push a narrative on, a platform they want to change. That's another part of asymmetrical warfare, is using platforms like that to your advantage to push a policy agenda. So long story short, and in summary, ICE is absolutely allowed to deport people under certain conditions, of course, as outlined there. But other than that, they're allowed due process. which in very small cases, I really can't see illegals getting due process because they've met those two criteria for expedited deportation. Now, if you're an asylum seeker, you have more breadth, but the United States government, any government, can withdraw asylum status for anyone for any reason because you're just seeking asylum here. You're not a citizen. You're just here because you're going to get killed if you go somewhere else. But that is up to the government to decide what. Now, here's what I don't agree with the Trump administration on. They've revoked a lot of status they've about 250,000 supposedly for Haitians. Haiti is controlled by a man named Barbecue that eats his own people for spiritual enrichment. I think if anyone deserves political asylum, it would be Haitians. I have no problem with Haitians seeking asylum in the United States. Everyone else can go fuck themselves because, what, you got to go back to Colombia? Jesus Christ, dude. Just go back. The cartel, fuck them. We got the Bloods, we got the Crips, we got MS-13, we got Trendero. We ain't scared. Don't be pussy. Don't be pussy. Just fight them. Don't be pussy. Just go back. Barbecue, you can't fight. That is like they eat people. You understand? Like they have no government in Haiti. They eat people in Haiti. There's no government in Haiti. That's another place the United States should just carpet bomb and restart is Haiti. And we bring all the Haitians here and we have them restart society because the people here actually have common sense and a brain. The people over there eat brains. So just bring them there. But we need to reinvade Haiti. We did it in 1919. We need to do it again. Invade them too. So anyway, that's the end of my really long unhinged rant. Overall, ICE does have the ability and the right to deport illegal immigrants. You're breaking the law. It's a federal crime. Go home. Don't wave foreign flags on our soil while attacking law enforcement and federal officers and our military. That's an act of war. You're not a civil dissident. You're from a foreign country attacking our soldiers. You're gonna die. Don't do they're giving. There's live ammunition in those rifles. You're gonna get shot if you do that. Don't do that. Also, don't demand to stay in a country that you do all that for. I don't understand. There's such a cognitive disconnect where it's like you're repping your home country while attacking American soldiers and law enforcement and then demanding to stay in this country. You're just here for purely economic reasons. You're not here because you care about our country. You're here because you want money. Go the fuck home. It's also not illegal to defend for the military to be in Los Angeles for this reason. So long as they're defending federal property and installations. So if there's the post office, if they wanted to send a Marine battalion to defend the post office in LA, they absolutely could because it's federal land and a federal building. They're allowed to station federal troops on federal land. They're not allowed to send the Marine Corps into LA proper to enforce the law unless a state of rebellion has been declared by the federal government. Rebellion against the United States government. So if that is declared a state of rebellion, then the military can come in and put down the rebellion. That's when the United States military can get called in. Other than that, the Marine Corps, the Army, the Navy, Air Force, whatever, they are only allowed to protect federal property unless that declaration of rebellion is given. So I just wanted to clarify that too. That was something I didn't get to talk about because I was looking at all my other notes. Anyway, we need to invade Mexico. Trump is doing what he's doing and it's legal. Stop harboring criminals. This isn't Nazi Germany. This is the United States. They're not aimlessly persecuting people that look like Latinos. They're literally just getting people that are illegal out of the country. Those are two different things. Trust me, if it was anything like Nazi Germany, I would have a very different opinion on the show. So calm the fuck down, read a book, and drink some water. The fuck? Anyway, thanks for listening to episode 310, and until next time.